Alright guys, just wanted to do a quick, I promise it's quick this time, video of how I've got our Hoodoo Tempest 120 hybrid kayak rigged. This is the 12-foot paddle version of the Tempest. Has the cutout for if you wanted to add a pedal drive, you'd have to put the hand steering there, and then you could put a paddle drive or a trolling motor into it. But yeah, just going over the way we have this thing rigged at this point. So, start out with the fish finder. There is our transducer. Now this is a Garmin, let's see, it's a Striker 4 CV Plus. It's one of the nicer downscan models. It has the CV20 transducer, which I have installed with just a brick of duct seal. You can get duct seal from a company called Ideal. There's many other companies making it, but you can use it to basically bed the transducer down. As long as there's no air bubbles between the transducer and the plastic of the hull, there's no issue with it shooting through these kayaks. I've tested this, it works beautifully, crystal clear, no issues. The wiring, just have the mount screwed down with some heavy coarse sheet metal screws holding the base, factory mount, and then I drilled 2 holes. Discovered later on you really only need to drill the one bigger hole and you can squeeze both cables through. The one connector is just bigger than the other, and that's the hard one to get through. So you can just drill the 1 3/8 hole and get both cables through, and then you only have 1 hole to seal. I still obviously have 2 holes that need to be have sealant applied to them. Wiring goes down inside the kayak, and then you can see I've just got a little 6 amp hour 12 volt sealed lead acid battery, and everything's just wired directly to the battery, because the only electronics on the kayak that are battery powered from that battery is just the fish finder. Did a previous video on replacing the stretchy, crappy rudder lines with some, I misspoke, actually I was saying it was Spectra. This is the Dyneema version with the polyester cover. Stuff's awesome, no stretch at all, instant response on the rudder, adjust it once and forget it. Next we have, I believe this is a Yak Gear Cup Holder. I bought this originally for my Stingray, but ended up going with a different cup holder because I really liked the 3D printed rim that somebody was making at 3D Yak. So I got the cup holder that fits, and I got seat risers from them, but that'll be in another video. Use the track mount mini port adapter. Then we have the anchor trolley system. I believe that's a Yak Gear. I'm not sure. I'll post in the description what the manufacturer is on that. But that comes with the, I guess you would just call this like a zigzag cleat. And it's kind of tough to do from this angle, but locks right in. And then for the actual anchor rope itself that is attached to the anchor line that goes through the triangle ring here, I've installed a little cam cleat and then a fair lead. All the anchor line sits in this little mesh bag, so when it's soaked it can still be put away, left there to dry. And a little grapnel anchor, you can get these on Amazon cheap, like $7 or $8. This is plenty to hold the kayak in anything but super soupy mud, like ripping currents, which at that point you don't want to be out there. Just did a basic splice. Sees the joints, and I did that, or I guess the bitter ends. I did that also on the end of the anchor line, so that I could actually put a carabiner here and clip this to a fixed point on the boat. Just or if I ever wanted to, I could just use this as a throw line. It's kind of multi-purpose. That was just something I felt like doing. I just poked a hole through the bag and then stitched the bag closed with some of the whipping twine. I'll post a description for the whipping twine. Had these little cheap, they were like $10 for 3 or 4 sets of them. LED battery powered, I'm gonna call them semi-waterproof lights. They come in red, green, and white. And that's perfect for the days where we want to set out fishing a little bit before the sun comes up. Over on the other side, we have another mini port adapter on this track. There's really nowhere to put the full starport bases on this because it has this radius here. And then the Yak Gear rod holder. That's actually a Railblazer, I'm sorry. Coming back here, we have the custom PVC rod holder. Went with 3 crosses because I had to build 2 of them and they only had 6 in stock anywhere near me, so 3 it was. I originally was going to do 4 rod holders, but this seems to do the job. And this is not black paint. This PVC has been dyed black, and I'm going to make a quick little part of this video about that. But all you need to dye PVC black is clear PVC primer and this stuff. Wreck oil, and they make, I think, half a dozen colors, and it will stain your fingers. It's a petroleum dye, and you have to order it from one little website. The guy's based out of, I think, New Jersey. But I just poured the whole bottle. It was overkill. I poured the whole bottle in this 32-ounce can. I've got enough to do pretty much every piece of PVC I ever work with again. And all you do is just brush that on, and it dyes the PVC a nice, solid, consistent, opaque black, and it keeps the shine because you don't even have to sand this. Some people recommend sanding it a couple coats, and it eats right through the coating that's on there, and you get this nice glossy black, and it doesn't scratch very easily. And if it does scratch a little bit, the dye is actually into the plastic a little bit, whereas paint just flakes off and it looks like crap very quickly. Next, we got this handy little Plano Tackle Box. My wife doesn't carry a ton of tackle with her. She keeps her her fishing simple, so I got her this little Plano Tackle Box, more than enough for her. It's got a cheap generic leash from Amazon. I replaced this button here with a D-loop. Again, I bought an assortment of these D-loops and end clips from Amazon, cheap, like 10 bucks for a set. But this way, it doesn't have to be strapped down tight. Just pull this out of here, work with it, and then drop it back in. If she does tip, the box isn't going anywhere. Next, we had the Igloo Bmx Cooler. I believe it's a 25 quart, and the color matches up pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but it matches up pretty good. This is her favorite color, so and we have this set up so that if she were to tip, it stays with the kayak. And what I did to do that is there's these 2 extra threaded holes on the Tempest, and I think it's for installing landing gear that you would have to build or buy yourself. But again, I mentioned I bought these D rings, and it came with, you know, things like this and hooks like, oh, hold on, that you can add to the kayak, and it uses the M6 bolts that come with the kayak, but you can also use the M6 bolts that come with the kit, which are Phillips head. But I basically took one of these and added it here, and then I took a kayak leash and tied it on here, came through this one, and then when it's time to detach the cooler, just unhook that right around the handle, lift the cooler off, time to install it, come right through, and this clip's not broken in yet, so there we go. And then just for added security, the strap that normally holds the lid on this compartment here, I ran up to a hook that I just riveted to the front of the kayak, or the front of the cooler, and that really holds everything down nice. That way you can open up the cooler and it's not going to tip back. Before it wanted to tip back and fall over. So that was a nice addition. These rod holders keeps everything up and out of the way. And then coming back here, the Dyneema Rudder Lines, the rest of the anchor trolley. But yeah, that's it. Still almost 10 minutes long. I gotta work on that. All right, guys, be safe.